There we go. Good morning, everyone. We have a small group here so far, and we're expecting some more. So we will get started. Appreciate all of you coming on this morning. This is Andy Turner. I'm just going to provide a little quick summary of what we're trying to do with this webinar. And we'll start by introducing the folks who are here in the room. So we also are here, we have Heather Russell, who's going to go over a lot of the technical features and help us talk you through how to get the most out of this site. Dina Haynes is here, who's been supporting this project, and Paul O'Connor as well. And Paul will jump in as well as we move along. So briefly, the idea for this new SharePoint site is to create some dialogue between the campus-based efforts and, of course, all the things that are going on out there in the associations. The idea came up, as you probably will recall, during a discussion at the September ELC meeting. We were talking about where we stand in the implementation process for the strategic plan. And during that conversation, Ken Schlaughter had an excellent suggestion, we thought, raised the question, how do we capture the wisdom of the system that's already engaged, and how do we learn from one another? How do we create more alignment, really, between the efforts on campus, the goals of the strategic plan, and the initiatives that are being carried forward at the association level, but also at the regional level. So that's the basic concept here, is to create a place that can be a repository for information that can be shared across the system, trying to capture some of the innovation and wisdom that's out there. Also, we're very interested in creating a place to have conversation and dialogue as we move forward together.
One minor logistic, you may notice on your screen that we are recording this webinar, and the purpose of that is that we set this up pretty fast, realizing Ag in-service is happening and all kinds of other stuff today. So we will be, having this available so that folks, especially the training element of it, so that folks can go back and watch it later. Just wanted everybody to realize we are recording it.
So what we're going to do is, you'll see that we have a pretty basic framework right now. This is a concept that we need to build out together. So it's not going to be populated with a lot of material going in. We don't want it to be a library only. We want it to be a place to create dialogue and engagement. So you'll see that it's pretty bare bones right now, and it's really up to us as a group to move forward together and create some real energy in this site. So we're going to start by showing you what the basics of what's there and making sure folks are aware of how to navigate and utilize the software. And Paul and I will jump in here and there as Heather goes through that to point out some of the specifics and maybe plant some seeds with what we're hoping you'll do. And obviously we're open to questions at any time, so please jump in with thoughts and questions and suggestions. So this has been our idea that came from the discussion at the ELC. After this morning, we hope it becomes a community project, and it's not something we're pushing at you from Extension Administration. So with that, I think we'll launch into the basics of what's here and get you oriented.
Okay, so this is Heather, again, Heather Russell. I just want to mention I'm sharing my screen with you guys, which means that your chat box and your participants box might be hidden. If it is hidden and you'd like to chat at us during this, just mouse over the green tab at the top of your screen and select chat or participants just to see who's in the room, or if you want to chat at us. I put you guys on mute just because we had some feedback earlier, so feel free to use the chat box. We'll be watching it as we go along. So the site that we are talking about, actually let me show you how to get there first. If you go to teams.cce.cornell.edu, which is maybe a place you have been before if you're involved in any of these other team sites. Over on the left here, there's something called Pathways to Sustainability. I'll actually paste this URL in the chat box if you guys want to grab it from there. We'll also send it out to you after this. But I just want you to have it in case you want to click on it. You guys have access to this right now, so you can follow along if you'd like to as we're going through this. So when you're looking at one of these team sites, a lot of them look fairly similar to one another. But then there's some sort of common features. So if you've used one before, you might know a little bit about what I'm talking about here. If you've never used one, you'll learn about this one, but you'll also learn about how to use some other team sites as well. So this site actually has some document areas. It has a core documents area right here in the middle. It also has some other document areas over here on the left. One is called the Association Strategic Plan Examples, and the other one's called the Regional Program Development. I'll let Andy and Paul talk about what they would like you guys, or what they think these different areas should be used for. But I do want to show you how to upload documents, because that's like sort of a main thing that you probably want to do when you get in here. So I'm going to show you a little bit about documents right now. So to go into any of these libraries, you just click on the main link for the library. So for this core documents library, I'm just going to open it up just to get in there. So if I go in there, you can see that this library has one document in it. It's a Word document. Hopefully when this site is being used, you'll see many documents within a document library. If you want to open a document at any time, actually let me close. I actually have one open right now. So let me close this so that I can show you how to open it. If you want to open a document that's in a library, all you need to do is click on it. And this goes for if you want to open it just to read it, or if you want to go in and edit it. You just click on it, and it will launch whatever application, in this case Word, will launch this document. You'll see when you click on a document, you get an option to read only or to edit. So if I wanted to edit this document, I could just click on Edit and OK, and it will launch Word and bring up the document that we're talking about. In this case, it's this agenda that we've been looking at so far. Let me get back to the site again. OK, so that's how to open a document. It's pretty easy. The idea here is this is a collaborative site, so when people upload documents, the idea is you work off of the server. You basically work on the documents that are there. Versions are kept for all of these documents, so if one of you goes in and makes changes, another one of you goes in and makes changes, all of that is sort of kept behind the scenes. You can, you know, with a little bit of digging, you can figure out, you know, what changes have been made on a document. I say that just because it's sort of in our blood to go and sort of save a copy as and make like multiple copies of the same document whenever we want to make changes to it, and you don't need to do that on a site like this. You can just edit the documents that are there directly, and the versions are sort of kept in the background. So let me show you, let me go into another document library, and I'll show you how to upload a document, because you might want to do that. I'm just going to open up this Association Strategic Plan Examples. Now, I don't have a strategic plan example to give you, but I will just upload a sample document just to show you guys what it's like. You'll see that there's an Add Document little plus sign here. You can always use that to upload a document, or a different way to do it. And I like to show this just because it introduces sort of this top bar here, which is important when you're doing anything in SharePoint. You can just click on Documents, and that gives you a whole bunch of things you can do here. I'll go through a couple of these during this session, but the one we're talking about right now is this Upload Document. This is the thing that allows you to go out to your hard drive or whatever and upload a document to the site. And it is not coming up with the little box it's supposed to be coming up with. I wonder if is it hidden here? Sorry, just a minute. Oh, there it goes. Okay, it's just a little slow today. Okay, so you get this upload document sort of browse bar that is pretty typical you see in applications like this. If you click on Browse, it'll bring you out to your hard drive, and you can upload a document. I have some demo documents here. Let me just upload one of them here so that you guys can see what that looks like. Okay, so there I go. I just uploaded a document here. It's this Word Doc 1 document. now that I've uploaded a document here, everybody who has access to this site can now see this document and edit it as well. So the idea here, of course, is you upload a document, and once it's here, you edit it here. You don't email it around to each other or anything. You use this as your place to edit the document. That actually brings up a point that I wanted to show you guys in the beginning. I'm just going to go up to the top, just to the main homepage of this site. I'm going to do that by clicking this little Navigate Up button and clicking on Pathways to Sustainability. I mentioned, everybody can see that document that you just put up there. If you want to know who everybody is, everybody who is on this team, that's over here in the box on the homepage. And it's essentially EDs plus some leadership folks here plus others, plus a couple others. And Andy or Paul can talk to that if you have questions about that. But this is a box of, whatever, 60 or so people in it. So if you're interested in knowing who has access to this stuff, there's right there.
So just to answer that right head on, it's mainly executive, not mainly, it is executive directors plus, the leadership level here. So you're not going to see a lot of folks that are involved with IT, HR, finance. I don't think you'll see any of those folks on this list of who has access to it. But all the program folks, the state extension specialists from administration, the associate directors, plus all of the executive directors are the folks that have access to this site.
Yep. Okay. So getting back into documents, I just wanted to show you just maybe one or two more things about documents, and then we can talk about some other things here. I mentioned this thing about not, you're trying to get out of this idea of emailing around a document to a group of people and having multiple versions of things out there. That said, if you have updated a document and you'd like to show the group or you like to show a group of people in email that you have updated it, one thing you can do is you can just grab the link for this document and paste it into an email. So you can grab a link by just sort of right-clicking on it and saying copy shortcut. I'm in Internet Explorer, so it's copy shortcut. If you're in Firefox, it's something different. I can't remember exactly what it says, something like copy link. But in any case, it's copy shortcut. This is just a link, so it will give you a link. And then if you wanted to go send an email to people, you could actually paste that link right into the email, and there it is. So the idea here is this thing lives up on the team site. It doesn't live in your email, right? It's actually, it lives up on the server. Okay, and I mentioned about versions. If you guys are ever interested in the version of a particular document, all you would need to do is to click on the document itself. You don't click on it to open it. You can sort of click in the row to highlight it like this. When you do that, you get a bunch more options up here on your toolbar, and one of them is version history. So you can kind of see what happened with this document. This document's a little bit boring. It's only had 2 versions so far, but but you can see that Paul was the one who started it and Andy added to it. You can see when they did it and sort of how the size increased. And you can always revert back to a previous version. So if you're in here and you accidentally mess up a document, which I know none of us would ever do, but it does happen occasionally, formatting or something gets messed up in a document, it's very easy to go back to a previous version. So don't worry about making changes to things, I guess is my main point there. Another thing along those same lines, you can delete a document. So I'm going to go into that other library that I had open, and I have that document here, this fake document that I'm going to delete. So if you accidentally upload something and you don't want everybody to see it and you like to get rid of it, all you need to do is click on, again, click on the row of the document itself, and you go up here to say delete document. Now, when I do that, it does prompt me. It says, are you sure? And you say, okay. It's going into the site recycle bin, and it sits in the site recycle bin for 90 days. So if you accidentally delete something, no big deal, easy to get back within 90 days. What I have found for most folks is that they notice within like 5 seconds that they've deleted the wrong thing. 90 days is way overkill, but we have them up there for 90 days if you need it. Any questions about documents, adding documents to the site or working on documents? Anything like that? Okay. If you do have questions, if you think of something as I'm going along, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next area. I'm just going back up to the home page again for this site. Okay, some other things I wanted to point out. The team here has put in some links to documents that actually live elsewhere. One is the strategic plan, and the other one is this renewing CCE documents. These are not actually documents that are up here for you to edit. You'll see if you click on them. I think they're both, let's see, this one's a PDF. So these actually live elsewhere. They're just links out to things, but they're here for your reference if you'd like to use them. And the strategic plan, oh, it goes to the web page, right, exactly. So it goes to the strategic plan on our website. Let's see, some other things. Oh, I need to kill this. Okay. There is a discussion board up here. Now you'll see it here. You see like it's sort of in the middle, but there's also a link over here on the left. You can use a discussion board for actually having and capturing a discussion between you about a particular topic. What I find is really nice about this is that rather than having a discussion in email where you have sort of like 50 emails going back and forth and it's really hard to sort of track what has been said, you know, sometimes you have to actually have someone sort of piece together the emails. I think the idea here is you can have a discussion sort of online and sort of have it archived. So it's here, it's, you know, if you guys need to refer to it later for future discussions, it's all here. The way that these work is, let me open up the discussion board and show you how it works. So I'm just going to click on the discussion board link. Andy put a couple of discussions in here. You'll see there are no replies yet, but I will reply to one of them to show what that's like. But you can add a new discussion by clicking Add New Discussion. Let me put a test one up here. Okay, and here is my discussion. So the idea is you would put in a question or a topic that you want people to discuss. And then other people can reply to it. So let me open up one of Andy's and reply to one of his. So let me open up association level strategic planning. Andy says, please post your plans, your strategic plans to the site if you're willing to share it. There's a lot of wisdom you can share, so I could reply back and say, I could post mine to the site, and I could reply back and say, I just posted mine, take a look, or whatever. Okay, so that's a reply to that. And so this could kind of go back and forth, you know, with people actually opening up discussions and replying to them. And you can do all of this on the site. Now, what I have found is, in general, people don't remember to do this, and they don't really sort of think about doing this. It's much easier to sort of use email, and that's totally understandable. One way that I have found is a really nice way to use these discussion boards is to actually connect them to your Outlook. So I'm assuming that all of you are using Outlook out there. There are some people out there in the associations who are not using Outlook, but I'm assuming all the EDs are using Outlook. So if you are using Outlook, this is kind of a nice way to use these discussion boards. I'm going to show you how to connect this to my Outlook, and then how to see when new things come in on my Outlook. So in order to connect it to my Outlook, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the List tab up top here, and sort of right in the middle there's this Connect to Outlook area, this Connect to Outlook button. You only have to do this once. So if you're trying to look at the site and you want to do one of these discussion boards to your Outlook, you only have to do it once. Okay.
Once per SharePoint, or just once period? Once
per SharePoint, once per discussion board. So if you guys opened up a new discussion board on this particular SharePoint, they would have to do it again. Also, if you're using other team sites on this on any SharePoint site, you would have to do it for each one. Okay, you get a prompt when you click that Connect to Outlook button. Actually, you get two prompts. One says, are you sure? And I say yes. And the other one says, are you sure? And I say yes. Okay, so let me show you what that did. So down below, let's go all the way down. So we're in my Mail tab right now. As you can tell, I have a lot of mail. I have a lot of like inboxes. Don't even ask me why I have so many. And I have a lot of folders and all sorts of stuff here. If I scroll way to the bottom down here, there is this SharePoint lists area down here. And there's this, you'll see, it says Pathways to Sustainability. If I open this up a little bit, it says something like discussion board. Sorry, it's asking me to log in. I just need to log in. Okay, let me see if I can make that bigger to show you what it says. Okay, discussion board. Okay, so the one thing I recommend is if you are connecting this to your Outlook, and you have a lot of folders and stuff like I do, and you're never going to remember to go all the way down to the bottom down there, one thing I do recommend is to promote it up here to your favorites. So if everybody has this favorites area in their Outlook, not many people are using it, but I really like it just for this reason. So if you want to promote it up, you can just right-click on it and say Show in Favorites. And what that does is it puts it up here, and once it's up here, you can sort of drag it around. It's just kind of like a link. So maybe I'll put it up here under my inbox. So now I have my inbox, and I also have my Pathways to Sustainability discussion board. It's just a link. You'll see when I have it open, it looks kind of like Mail. It's not Mail. This is sort of a direct connection to your discussion board. So you'll see I can see any of the discussion posts that are up here, as well as the replies. So I can see that Andy had posted something. You can see in my pane over here, you can see that what his question actually was. You can see my reply to it. You can see my post up here. Now, one of the things I like about having this discussion board in my Outlook is that it, just like with my Mail, it turns bold when there's new stuff in there. You know, it gives me that little like parentheses next to it that shows me there are a couple new items in there. And so the nice thing about this is if you have this sort of sitting up there, you don't have to remember to go to the site to look at this discussion board. It's here. If somebody adds something new, it shows up here. The other thing that's nice about having it is you can actually reply from Outlook. So if I'm on this particular topic, this was the one that I had posted just a couple seconds ago, I can actually, up here, I can say post reply. You'll notice this is it looks a little different than when you're in your email. In email, you just have reply and forward and things like that. When you're in the discussion board, you get a couple extra. You get these posts, you get post reply and new post. So if I say post reply, it opens up an email-like thing, and I can say, I'm just going to say test from Outlook, and this will post my reply back right onto the discussion board. I'll show you that in a second. Along those same lines, you can say new post from here. So if you just want to use this and create a whole new discussion in here, you can just say new post. So let me go down to my discussion board again. I'm just going to minimize my Outlook for a second. And I'm just going to refresh this page so you can see my test from Outlook came back. So that when you're in Outlook, it is a direct connection. Everything that you do in there is a direct connection. So if you're going to use these discussion boards, which I think Andy and Paul are recommending, I would recommend that you connect them to your Outlook.
That's the hope here. In other words, Ken Schlater, I think when he suggested, could we have some sort of community via technology to have these strategic plan type of discussions, this is our answer to it. You know, whether it's today on the call or at some point, be very interested in your input as to whether you think this will be useful. And, you know, especially on the IT end, this is the slick and easy way to have these type of conversations to learn from everyone.
One thing that Celeste just posted is, what if Connect to Outlook is grayed out? I think that is happening because you might not be using Internet Explorer. I think you might be in something like Firefox or Chrome. So use Internet Explorer if you're trying to connect it to your Outlook. And that is actually, okay, so she's having another problem, but I will follow up with her. That's another good point about this on the technology side. These sites work best on Internet Explorer, so although you can use Firefox or Chrome or your favorite browser to actually get to them, if you find that they're not working quite as well as you expect them to, switch to Internet Explorer and see if they do.
And these two topics that we've posted to start, perhaps seed the discussion board, we think are very timely because of things we're hearing from folks. So we know there are strategic plans that have been done in the last couple of years, some very, very in-depth that associations have gone through. There's some more recent that have tried to parallel, at least one example where there's been a parallel development of a local strategic plan based on the initiatives from our statewide strategic plan. So people are asking questions about it. We know there's some good examples already that could be shared. And then the program development, there's obviously all kinds of regional program development going on, and has been for years. But I think we're aware of new conversations that are starting up, some of them even through the area management groups of the SPNs, to start looking ahead to strategies for the Smith-Lever funding change that's coming up in the next federal fiscal year. So I think it's an opportunity to share some of those things, let people know what you're talking about. Who knows what kind of innovation could come from that. So that's why we selected those two, because they seem to be extremely relevant to what's happening right now.
In addition to that, anybody can post a new discussion thread. I mean, I'm just highlighting what Heather said before. So you're having a local or a regional conversation, or you just plain have an idea that you'd like to get feedback from that's related to strategic planning, as the purpose of this board is, you can go in and this doesn't have to be a CCE administration thing. The goal here is that this is a community working on this implementation of the strategic plan, sort of period. So you think of an idea, a topic, by all means, please go on there and post it as a new discussion board.
One nice thing about, I mentioned having these discussions on this site rather than through email. One nice thing about having them in here is that they are archived, but also they are searchable within the site. So if you are on the site itself and say we have a lot of discussions going on and a lot of documents and you don't quite know where something was discussed, sort of, you don't quite know how to look through it, on the top of every page in the site is a search box. So I can say search just this site if I know that it's on this site, and I can search for whatever, strategic, and hopefully that will bring it up. Okay, and what this will bring up is all sorts of stuff across the site. It will bring up discussion topics. It will bring up documents that you've put in here, including the full text of documents. It'll bring up pages that are on here, links. It brings up everything. So strategic is kind of a funny word to search on because everything in here is named strategic, but hopefully if you were using the search box, you would have something a little more specific. So that's something to think about. Let's see, another thing that is on here, which I wanted to point out, is that there is a calendar on here, which is called Target Dates. And this calendar is, actually, why don't you guys speak to what you want to use this calendar for?
Well, I think what we're thinking here is there may be some key dates that are related to implementation of the strategic plan, either statewide, so we probably would post the ELC meetings on here. So far we put one date on here, which is in December, and that is the upcoming meeting of the lead executive director group and the building leadership capacity group, very much a strategic planning type of meeting. There could be work teams that form here, or hopefully there might be, and you might post your own sort of meeting times or deadlines for projects to be completed, things of that sort. So we're not, it's just a way to manage tasks and allow everyone to have access to that.
And another thing that you could start to think of is there may not be loads and loads of meetings that we put on this calendar, but it may be at some point in time, it'd be helpful to see, so what events have we done as we talk to, say, have a regional board meeting. So what's gone on across the state in terms of events with strategic plan. Heather just showed us that we can then search, pick up those calendar items, be really easy to say, boom, 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 here's the types of events, here's the types of documents, the discussions that are going on, to communicate those with other folks that aren't on this SharePoint, like board members.
Yep. And if anybody wants to add something to this calendar, it's actually very easy to add something. If you just sort of hover over the where you want to add, actually you can hover over any part of the calendar because you can actually change the date once you get in there. You can click this little, sorry, it disappeared. You can click, oh, I did it again. You can click that little add button, and it brings up something that looks like when you're adding something to your Outlook. So let me just add a test thing into here. So you could make it a full day activity or an activity that actually has a beginning and an end time. You can add a description, whatever you want to in here. You can make it repeating. If you have some regular meeting that's going on, you can actually put a repeating event in here. And I'm just going to say save just to show you what that looks like. Okay, so that was very quickly adding a meeting from here. If you guys end up using this calendar for stuff that you'd like to see within your Outlook, you can actually connect this calendar to your Outlook as well. The same way we did it with the discussion board, you basically go up to this tab. It's the calendar tab in this case, and you say connect to Outlook. And again, you just say okay, okay when it prompts you. And what this does is it puts it into your calendar area. It adds it as sort of this, an other calendar. For those of you who have gone into other people's calendars to sort of see what their schedule is like, it's sort of like that. So in this case, it's this green calendar over here on the right. I'm just going to change the color quickly so I can show you guys something. It's a little hard to see when it's green and my calendar's blue, so I'm going to change the color to pink. Okay, so if you have this calendar in here, you can actually overlay it with your own calendar. So I'm just going to click this that little arrow to overlay it with my calendar. I'm going to pull mine forward now. So my stuff's the blue stuff, and the pink stuff is the Pathways to Sustainability Target Dates calendar. So you guys don't have anything on there in November, but you do have something on there in December, and it's this 12 to 5 Lead ED BLC meeting. So right now, because there's not a lot on this calendar, this doesn't make a lot of sense, but if you could see if you were using this calendar a lot, you could actually have it as a calendar here that you can sort of open and close at will. If you sort of wanted to see where things were showing up, if you had deadlines in here and you wanted to show them sort of on, next to your own calendar. It doesn't, of course, take the place of your own personal calendar. This is a team calendar, but it's a way for you to see what's going on this team calendar. And in the same way that we could add things to the discussion board from Outlook, you can also add things to this calendar from Outlook. So let me just separate them again. I'm going to put them in side-by-side mode. I can add something to this calendar by just doing what I normally do, which is double-clicking in there and saying, I'm just going to call it Test from Outlook, and saving it. So now I have another meeting on this calendar, and if I go back to my web browser, I'm just going to minimize this to go back to my web browser. That was in December sometime. There's my test from Outlook. So you can use it like that as well. You don't have to remember to come to this site. You can actually have it in your Outlook if that's good for you. One of the things I wanted to show you guys is about alerting. Should I show them about alerting? Is that
Yep.
So I know that I sort of get on my soapbox and talk about not doing things in email. Like, you don't want to send around documents in email. You don't want to have a lot of discussions in email. However, with all of that said, we all are actually kind of used to email, and we're all used to having things in email. So there is a way that you can get alerted in your email when things are going on this site. So if you're the type of person who needs to sort of have a couple of reminders to know to remember to use this site, you can actually set up an alert on this site to show you what's going on. I find it's really useful for folks to do this, especially in the beginning, if they're trying to get used to using a team site and they want to see what people are using it for. So let me show you how to set one up. You guys can set these up on your own. So I'm going to just go up to the home page again. And so the way you have to do this is you actually have to decide sort of where on the site you want to be alerted. You can't, there is no sort of entire site alert, although that would be kind of nice. It also would be kind of mundane, I think. So you kind of have to think about, like, do I want to be updated on when people are adding things to core documents, or this library or that library, or maybe the calendar or the discussion board. You can set up alerts on all of these things, but you just have to do them all individually. So let me show you. Let me go into this library, which we don't have anything in right now. And say I want to be alerted when people are adding stuff to this or changing things within this library. I would just go up to the library tab up here, and sort of towards the left, but in the middle, there's this Alert Me button, and I can say Set Alert on this library. So remember, all this is setting up sort of a email that goes out to you whenever something is changed or added to this library. So the alert title is the subject line of the email that will come in. So I always say try to make this as sort of as specific as you want to see in your email. So I might call this docs that have been modified or something that will alert to me what is going on, what I set up this alert for. Your name will be pre-filled in here, so you don't have to worry about adding a name in there. You can skip this. We're not using text messaging, so we're just using email. So the warning that I always give to everybody is that if you kept all of these defaults, this will sort of spam you with email. So it sends you, the way it's set up is it sends you emails whenever anything changes in this library immediately. So that means if somebody goes in there and just like, changes a typo that's in a document, you get an email, bam, like a minute afterwards, and that's probably not what you want. I know a lot of us are trying to, sort of get out of having too much email. So you can change how the emails that you get here. For example, you can, instead of saying all changes, you could say, I only want to see when people add new documents to this library. Maybe you don't care if people are modifying documents, but you want to see if new documents are added, that's this. Maybe you only care if people are modifying stuff, so that would be this. Maybe you want to be notified when people are deleting things. This is like the paranoia button. I don't know a lot of people who are using that, but that's there as well. Some other things that you could do, this is one thing that you can do that will reduce the number of emails you will get from this. Right now, if you left it like this, you would get an email whenever anyone changes anything, including yourself. So I don't know about you guys, but when I make a change, I don't need an email telling me that I did it. So what you really want to do is change this to someone else. Someone else means anyone but me. So I always change this to someone else changes the document. But you can also, there are a couple more things here where you can make this more specific. Someone else changes the document created by me or modified by me. They're not usually, I don't find those very useful. And then the third thing you can do to reduce the number of emails is have it not send it immediately, have it send it to you daily or weekly. You can choose the time of day, so maybe like 4 p.m. or something, sort of towards the end of your day or whatever. If you choose a weekly summary, you can choose which day of the week. So maybe Friday at 4, you want to see everything that has happened. So you can go in here if you're interested in this. You can set up these alerts wherever you want on the site. It's basically the same thing. You go up to the library tab or the list tab and set it there. When I say OK here, what it will do is send me an email telling me that this was set up.
There's a chat to respond to.
Can you use text messaging? No, it's not set up as. That really requires something called Microsoft, I think it's called Link now or something, and we don't have that installed. Sorry. Okay, it sent me an email. and this is the email that it looks like. So if you do set up one of these, you'll get this like initial email, and the nice thing is this gives you a link to go back and change your settings. So if you decide you're getting too much email and you want to change it, you can always use this link to get back. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions about anything we talked about today?
That was under workflow settings.
It was under, so if I'm in, so I have to be in a library or a list, and then I go up to the library tab, and it's alert me. So for any of this stuff, I know I went through this stuff kind of quickly. For any questions about any of this stuff, there is a help site on here. So if you actually click this help button, which is kind of in the middle here, this brings you to a site that I maintain here, and everything that I just discussed is over here on the right. There's a quick guide down here. It says quick guide using a team site for collaboration. This is sort of a little 4-page PDF that you could print out and have next to you if you wanted to. Some people like to have that, especially when they're learning something new. And this goes through step by step all of the stuff I was just talking about, plus some more stuff that we didn't get into here today. So if you didn't write everything down and you want to sort of see what I talked about, go up to that help site and come down here to quick guide. Okay.
So if we could navigate back to the pathways.
Yep.
You'll see on the left-hand side that we have started a couple of core documents things. The strategic plan, the system strategic plan is there, so there's a link that you can click on and get to the strategic plan. The document that was put together a couple of years ago, which is, it was kind of a white paper at the time, is more of a foundational type document now. The Renewing CCE, a leadership assessment, that document's there. And then down under libraries, you see that there's places to add stuff, local examples. So local strategic plan examples. Right now there's nothing in that, but even as we've been on this webinar, I've been in touch with Chuck Brooks to see if he would share Columbia Green's strategic plan, because they did what was it, Andy, maybe a 5-month process that was really pretty in-depth, engaged lots of stakeholders, both internally, boards and staff, as well as externally, and resulted in a documentable, trackable strategic plan that also integrates with the system strategic plan. So as you're doing strategic planning efforts, this is a place that you could share your example or go to get examples to get ideas about how you might want to start doing that type of thing. So it's not there now, but Chuck's going to be on the webinar this afternoon. He's already said he'll upload a PDF of Columbia Green's strategic plan once Heather teaches them how to this afternoon. So I just wanted to point out a couple of those things. Again, we can create more libraries as folks think about, there's other efforts going on, or you think there's some other good things related to the strategic plan, we can put those there. Anything else, Andy, that you wanted to highlight?
I don't think so. I think that's a pretty good overview of what we have in mind. It's really up to all of us to make it work.
Is it possible, Heather, that we can unmute everybody on the call and maybe ask a couple of questions?
Yeah. Okay, you guys are unmuted.
3 quick clicks in your day. So I'm curious to kind of, we've gone through a lot of material here. What do you think? Is this a good tool? Do you have suggestions for us? What's your thoughts on this? Are we muted?
No, we're good. We're good.
All right, I'm going to have to start picking on people.
Not to put you on the spot.
Bev, what's your thoughts?
Well, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. I'm watching this and it's striking me. Isn't this kind of similar to something we tried to do when we had the Senate and we tried to have a place where people could have discussions and share documents like that? I mean, this is definitely more scientific and more user-friendly, but I'm just thinking it's sort of similar in concept, right?
I think it is similar in concept. I do agree with you. I think that you know, my assessment was that the Senate effort really didn't go very far, but yet I think it was in a kind of a different time period when we were kind of in the technology at that point.
Yeah, I think the challenge would be, because I know at that point, you know, the feedback from everybody was, you know, it's one more place we have to go and look, but I like the way that the connections are coming back, that it can send you a message so you know when there's an update, and, which I know we had on the other one, but I don't know, this one doesn't seem as cumbersome of a process as the other one was.
Right, and I can tell you, even using SharePoint, I'll say it so that Heather doesn't, you know, it's just like any new technology. It takes a little bit of startup, and it takes some population work. In our operations team here, we're using SharePoint for our kind of staff meetings and document repositories. But we still got some things that we can improve on. I've learned some stuff just hearing Heather talk about it here today. But we fully are using SharePoint for that team. But the way that evolved was all of the team having to decide, you know, we'll throw stuff there, and eventually it got off the ground. So if this is going to be successful, that's what it's going to take, is more folks putting material on it and discussing.
Yeah, Bev, I would add that I think the difference maybe between what we've done in the past is this is more focused. It's not just a discussion, community discussion. It's something that's designed to implement a specific planning process that we're in. So it wouldn't go on forever necessarily. It's designed to move us together. I think the system is kind of like a, you know, it can be molded a little bit here and there, like we have an ELC meeting and people leave kind of energized, and but then things kind of go back to their regular form. So in order to create real change, we're going to have a number of different avenues for that, not just this, but many. So the ELC meetings have to have a focus. The projects like the BLC help. Having the lead ED group, we think, can help. If you have vibrant AMG meetings going on, that will help. If we start to get our boards energized regionally, occasionally, and get them together. So, and even the board president meeting that we did last year that we're now going to continue. So there has to be, I think, a number of things that we're all working towards in order to actually create something that's going to create some movement together as a system, as opposed to some, you know, some conversation and then things kind of turn back to business as normal. So it remains to be seen. I think we can do it, but I think this is just one of the pieces, not designed to be the answer to it.
So no, I mean, I like the concept, because I remember, you know, when we tried the other vehicle, I loved going in there, you know, because I would always read stuff and always comment, and I was just always kind of disappointed that there weren't more people engaged in it. So, you know, hopefully we are at a different time where people feel, you know, that they can be more engaged.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
Well, first off, I've been using SharePoint a little bit with the regional ag team here, and I did learn some new things, which I think maybe I'm going to implement to make sure they use our SharePoint site a little bit more. But I think the biggest thing is just to encourage people to contribute, and that it's a safe place for them to contribute and have open and honest conversation. I think, you know, setting up the alerts is a key thing, and I know that's one of the things I learned today that I'm going to do, because then I can kind of see which of my regional ag people is really utilizing it and which isn't, even though I already know the answer to that question. But anyway, I think it's a good tool, and as I say, just to encourage folks to contribute, and that it's a safe place for open and honest conversation about where we're headed.
Paul?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay? This
Yeah.
is Celeste. I'm just wondering if are you envisioning that within here there might be some resources to help, you know, to help counties consider how to move the strategic plan forward, like things like plans of work or professional development plans and resources campus-county connections, so things that link back to our strategic plan that would help strengthen a local strategic plan. Are you thinking that those resources would be linked directly from here?
This is Andy Swetston. Paul may have, I think the answer potentially yes, but I think we also want to be pretty protective of how much we do that. So we want to make sure it's really timely and relevant to something. So we don't want to just build it out with things that are available.
Exactly. Well, I'm wondering if there's a framework for that kind of information, and so, you know, how can I and how can others help support this effort by putting the right information there?
I think to help us to think that through, and we would work with you to come to some agreement in terms of what should go on, but we would welcome that kind of input.
Paul's sitting here shaking my head in agreement.
Okay.
I guess we want to also, we're sensitive to seeing that it builds out in a way that's sort of reciprocal, so it doesn't just become a lot of our stuff only. We want it to be helpful, that point people towards things, but we want it to have an organic sort of aspect to it. Otherwise, it's not really anything that we don't already have. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering too, except if this was the place that people were going in order to consider what, you know, it looks like there's some documents on here. You've got, well, I guess there's not documents necessarily, core documents are on here. So the core documents might support the, you know, in order for associations to build local strategic plans, and then is your idea that they would then post their local strategic plans also?
Definitely that, and also if folks like you are looking at it and participating in the discussion, you might see a question that you can provide a link or an answer, or so as the discussion moves forward, it might point us towards where we need to get people going to find out answers that we may already have materials for elsewhere.
And I think it's important to not duplicate materials that you have living elsewhere. I mean, there is this links area in the lower right, which is very easy to add links. I think, you know, if it makes sense to link out to the plan of work or whatever, I mean, definitely link out to them. Don't repopulate here. We don't want multiple versions of stuff.
No, definitely that's what I was thinking, is linking. But, you know, rather than people wonder, you know, just avoiding the, sometimes when we don't talk about something that might feel obvious on one end, it may not feel obvious on the other. So, so things are either ignored or redeveloped, and just want to be able to help support making sure the right information is in the right place so people are finding it. So a question for you, Heather, the whole linking some information to Outlook so that, you know, you get a ding when somebody's working on something, that's wonderful. Is there a way to do that across the board, or does every individual have to make that connection to link things to their own mailbox?
So there is, so you're talking about alerts, right, Celeste?
No, not the alerts, but the, you know, so on discussions, the linking to Outlook, is that, I might be using the wrong terminology.
Right. Yeah, connecting to Outlook, yep. Each individual has to do that for themselves.
Okay.
They only have to do it once, but
Okay.
you have to do it. And I do have it written up on that help site, so,
okay.
and people can always ask me, and I can walk them through it.
And she's really good about walking us newbies through it.
Yeah.
To that.
So we have, just so folks are aware, we have another session this afternoon with a number of folks signed up, and we're also recording this, and we'll send a link out to the EDs so that they can access it that way. We had a number of people who wanted to participate who are elsewhere today, so we do appreciate it. I don't want to, if there are any other questions, please jump in, but we also probably are reaching the end of our time here, and we really appreciate your participation.
So with that, thank you everybody, and I think we'll sign off today and look for email connections to Outlook as you start participating in discussion boards. How's there for a prompt? Probably should have had a $10 bill attached to that comment, huh? So thanks everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.